Hello?
Hello, Kelly. Sorry, I was
Hello?
downstairs.
Hey, you're fine. Okay, so I talked to Esteban and Max today, and really both of them are kind of on the same page that Max said that he'll pay what we would charge to fix the drywall that you removed, but both of them said that there was zero signs of buckling of floor, trim, baseboards. There weren't any water stains. They said they're happy to fix the drywall that you've removed, but with another plumber going behind our work and then telling us what was wrong, two different stories as to what was wrong, we still have zero proof. I mean, normally I do a contract, but I didn't do a contract with you because this was supposed to be just a simple in and out job. And I mean, in our contract, it states that no one is allowed to go behind and touch our work. Otherwise, everything of ours is completely negated. And I mean, I told you we were out of town. I mean, every single one of us was out of town doing different jobs. Max wasn't working in Killeen doing a roof. Esteban was not in town. He was on a family thing. And I was out of town doing food truck stuff. So because this was not an emergency leak, I figured you could wait until Monday. But when you said Sunday, somebody else had already come over there, no one knows what exactly happened. I mean, your plumber can tell us things all day long, but he's also telling my workers lies about the Texas State Board of Plumbing. You do not have to have a license in the state of Texas to do anything except for install new plumbing. You do not have to have a license to replace a faucet, a spout, a toilet, a valve, nothing. You do not. We've been doing this forever. Our plumbers have been plumbers for 47 years, some of them, and there is nothing in the state of Texas that states you must be licensed to put on an existing spout. So your plumber threatening these guys is completely uncalled for, and I could report him for that, and we've done it before, because you cannot threaten people with things like that.
Well, specifically, what threat did he make?
He said he was going to call the Texas State License Board and report us for not having a licensed plumber replace the spout.
That's incorrect.
He said those words
That's incorrect.
Max and okay,
that's
well,
incorrect.
I don't think both of them would lie to me and make up that story. Both
well,
of them
I've got the conversation recorded. I've got the conversation recorded.
Well, that's great. That's wonderful. He still said you have to have all this. Those are false statements. If he was threatening them or they just took it as a threat because that's what he said, that's a complete false statement, and he knows that, and he can get reported for saying those things. Every single plumber that knows the state board licensing requirements knows you do not have to have a license to put on an existing tub spout. Anybody in the world, a 5-year-old could do it.
You actually do. It's section.
So, anyways, it doesn't matter.
Because I've got the law. I have the law right here. It's section 1301.052.
That's fine. I have a Texas State Board license. If you want the licensing board, her name's Debbie White. I'll give you her phone number tomorrow when I get into the office. You're more than welcome to call her. That is our contact and who we work with, because I have plumbers. So she and every single person, this is what we do for a living. We don't go around doing illegal things. Your person went behind our back. You should have waited until Monday when we got here, like I told you on Saturday or Sunday in a message. You didn't even give us 24 hours to answer you. This was not an emergency leak. You should have just turned the bathtub off and wait till we could get there. You would never have one car mechanic do something and then, because you didn't think that they were doing something right, give them the opportunity to not go behind their work. We don't have a clue what happened. We're only going off of your story and your plumber's story, which were two different stories as to what was going on. Both of you guys gave me two different stories. So at this point,
Max,
in the mold situation, you telling them that you saw mold, we've taken and we've been licensed to do mold remediation for years. Mold does not grow for 18 to 21 days. So you telling Max or Esteban, whomever, which one you told, that there's mold, that you were seeing mold, that is never going to happen within a 24-hour time that you had water coming through your bathtub. You would never see mold for 18 to 21 days, ever. So if you had mold back there, that's probably from your previous leak of why your bathtub was leaking the first time. If you thought mold was going to immediately grow, as long as you open those walls, which you did within 24 to 48 hours, it would have dried out either with a fan or on its own, and the mold spores would just eventually go away by themselves. It doesn't just grow if there's no water there. So the claims of there's mold everywhere is false as well because the water was not a continuous leak. You turned it off. So that also with Max, they both used their cameras as well to take pictures and run it through systems to see there was no water stains, there was no buckling of drywall, there was no popping of drywall, nothing on any of the trim, your floor.
This is in real time.
I'll create a GUI interface using Visual Basic, see if I can track an IP address.
I mean, if you spill water, if your kids spill a bucket of water, you're not going to replace your floor because it sat there for 3 hours. You would wipe it up and move on. This was not a continuous leak. You turned it off. So at this point, we will pay for your drywall to be fixed that you've cut out, but I'm not sending my guys over there because none of them are even comfortable being in that environment anymore because they just are not going to go over there and be with the text messages, the attitude, the words towards them, none of them. So I will just send you a check in the mail for what it will cost to put that drywall up. But that is all we're going to replace because nothing else was going to be that bad of damage for this short amount of leak that you had. Especially because there's still no proof of what happened because we were not able to get back there because you had someone else go behind us, which, I mean, you can't do that. If you wanted us to fix it, you should have waited for us to fix it, not call someone else within 24 hours. I mean, this wasn't an emergency leak. It's not like your water main broke. You had a bathtub. You just should have turned it off and waited for us to get there so we could see it and put our own hands on it and fix it. I mean, I can't warranty work that another company does, and that's what happened. I have no idea what that other man did. And I have no idea what caused it because we weren't there to see it. We weren't there to know exactly what happened or try to fix it. You had someone else do it. So at this point, I mean, we'll fix whatever you've cut out, but that's all we're going to do.
So, this is Occupations Code, Title 8, Regulations of Environmental and Industrial Trades, Chapter 1301 on plumbers. If you look at Section 1301,
We only go by Texas State Plumbing Board. And
yeah.
I'm not going to go round and round in circles with you, and I'm not going to have you read the law to me because I've been doing this for years and years and years. I work with Texas Plumbing Board, Electrician Board. We were not hired to do plumbing. We were not advertised to do plumbing. We were hired and brought in there to do tile work. Whatever plumbing work you had done prior to us or after us by a plumber is whom you deal with plumbing with. You are not required to have a license, and I'm not even going to say this 10 more times, to put on a spout, an existing spout. Nothing was new. No plumbing. I will text you a lady's number tomorrow. Her name is Debbie White. She works for Texas State Board. I was on the phone with her 5 times today, unrelated to you. She is the contact for Texas State Board. She is in the enforcement division in Austin, Texas. And you can call her, and she will let you know. And then you can call any other plumbing agency you want or plumber, and they will tell you the same thing. Whatever you're reading, that's fine. But I know exactly what the law is because I speak with this woman every day. So at this point, I will send you a check in the mail for however much it costs to replace your drywall. But I mean, you can't expect my company to come in behind another man and take his word for it when he's already spouting lies to other people about laws. I mean, you just can't do that. I mean, I told you when you texted me about it what the deal was. I let you know I was out of town. I let you know on Sunday Esteban would be there, and then you had already gotten it fixed. And then you want to come back and tell me, I mean, you can't do that. You've got to let us have the chance to fix it. If this
you
was
told
an
me
emergency
Esteban would be
leak,
there, and he wasn't. He didn't come until today. So
no, I did not. On Saturday, I text messaged you within 24 hours of your first message, and I had sent all of that to Esteban at midnight on Friday night when I got done working. I sent it to him, and I said, I will call you tomorrow. Well, then within 24 hours of your first message, I told you, hey, I'm out of town. Sorry, I've sent this to Esteban. I'll get with you tomorrow. Well, then you texted me before I had even messaged you on Sunday night at 8 o'clock, and you said you already had a plumber fix it. You didn't even give me 24 hours to get somebody over there, but it wasn't even an emergency. I mean, I had told you I was going to send him, but you told me you had already gotten someone to fix it. You should have just waited until we could get over to you Monday. I mean, like I said, this was not an emergency plumbing situation. You turned off the bathtub. You just had to keep it off until we could get over to you. And if it was that big of an emergency like you thought, you should have reached out to me, hey, this is not stopping. This water will not stop. But you didn't. You just said that it was only happening whenever you turned the bathtub on. I mean, I got one message from you Friday, and then I got one message from you Sunday at 8 p.m. after you got somebody else to come over there. We had zero time to even come over there. I mean, we normally don't work on weekends unless it's a major, emergency or something. And this was not a major emergency. It was never told to us as a major emergency, nothing. It was just, there's some water coming out behind here. And I said, okay, I'm out of town. We would get with you on Monday. But by that time on Sunday night, you said that you already had someone come fix it. And I can't take that man's word for it because he's a liar to begin with. I mean, I can't take anything. The first thing he said to me was the weep hole situation. And then you sent pictures of the weep hole. But now it's a totally different situation. And without us ever getting the ability to go back there and see what really happened or even fix it ourselves, I mean, I have no proof of what anything we did was wrong. I mean, even Esteban said you were trying to tell him that the drywall was probably put in wrong, so the copper pipe's too short. I mean, crazy things. I mean, this is what we do for a living. We don't have complaints like this. We don't have mistakes like this, ever.
No, that's not what I said.
In all the years we've had.
That's not what I said.
I mean, that's how he's. Well, I'm just saying. I mean,
I can tell you. I can tell you what I said to him. I can tell you exactly what I said.
Okay.
He said, "Why?"
Okay, what did you say?
He said, "Why is it we put the exact same spout on? And you're saying that the copper is too short. Why is it too short? Did you cut it?" And I said, "No, I didn't cut it." I said the copper pipe did not change. The only thing that changed was the wall. I removed the wall. You guys came and you put new wall in. If the copper pipe did not change length, then the only other possibility that could make the pipe too short would be if the wall was more forward than it was previously. You guys installed the wall,
and then the tile would not.
And then I said, furthermore, though,
wouldn't even be flush if that happened.
And I said, but furthermore, if it was too short, the nature of the leak was so profound. He clearly didn't test it or check it. Number one, number two, nobody measured it. So if it was too short, so it was either installed improperly or it was too short. And I also have the leftover fitting from where the plumbers installed it, so we have the marks on how he installed it. But I told him, I said, if it was too short, why didn't you guys measure it? You're saying it's too short, so either it was installed improperly or it was too short. It could have been measured. If it had been tested and checked and verified, it would have been discovered.
He did test it. The man, he did.
Well,
he did test it. He did test the water. And even in your videos, when you turn it on, it was coming through the spout. I mean, he did test it.
It was coming through the spout, and it was also leaking at the back wall. If you put on a spout and you turn it on, and most especially if he had turned on the diverter, he would have clearly had it spraying out of the sides. Then, test it before you seal it up. If he had, it would have been immediately apparent, not even like a minor thing.
But if it was immediately apparent, why did you let the bathtub fill up all the way and let all that water drip out if it was an immediate apparent?
I'm talking about at the time
to have all that water damage go in the back of your house. Why would you do that?
At the time of installation, if he had properly tested while installing the faucet.
He did properly test it. What you're saying is just completely backwards. If
No,
he
it's not.
immediately tested it right then and the leak was that apparent then when you turned the bathtub on and let it fill up all the way and had all that water come out, you would have immediately seen the apparent leak if it was that bad. The
I'm
faucet
talking
wasn't going
about
to change from when he tested it.
before he siliconed around the spout. During the act of installation, when you put on a spout, you put it on, you tighten the set screw, you check it to make sure it works, you check the diverter, then you silicone around it as the final.
Right, and he did do all of that. He did test
And
all of it because Esteban was on the phone with him when he tested it.
And what I'm saying is the nature of the leak. If he had tested it, it would have been
He did test it
abundantly and immediately apparent.
Right.
Well, he did
okay.
test it. There's
exactly.
no way.
Exactly. If that's what you're saying, then the second you turned it on, because it's not going to change the way the leak goes from when he leaves to when you turn it on. If the leak is that abundant and apparent, the second you turn it on to use your thermal camera, you would have immediately and abundantly seen an apparent leak. But you didn't. You waited, or you're saying you didn't. You're saying you didn't, and you said you let your whole bathtub fill up on your thermal camera so you could see leaks. But if my guy did all of that and immediately didn't see a leak, then you wouldn't either. Because if he did test it, which he did, but you're saying if he did test it, he would have immediately seen a leak.
I'm talking
same with
on the
you.
contingency
if
of
you would have turned it on,
silicone.
you would have just immediately seen it.
You're either not trying to listen to what I'm saying, or maybe you're.
I hear everything you're saying.
So without the silicone around it, assuming there's no, so let's say he installs it, and before he silicones it, he tests it. In that situation, the leak would have been immediately apparent and blatantly obvious. Now, if he siliconed around it and then tested, I don't know. It's probably a question worth asking to him. But between he installed it on a Wednesday, and I allowed the bath to sit for a full 2 days so that everything could set and dry and seal correctly. And so when I went to test it 2 days later, 2 days having passed after he siliconed it, I did a filter with it being siliconed all the way around, including under the weep hole of whatever you want to call it. There was no way for the leak to be apparent to me while I'm there in the bathroom. So the opportunity to have properly tested it and caught it would have been at the time of installation before sealing around it. That's what I'm saying. So between the time that he put the faucet on the pipe, there was a 2-day time difference between his installation and me fill testing it, because I waited the proper amount of time before I fill tested. And after 2 days, any silicone they put around that would have been set and cured. And even if I had done it early, if I had actually done it the unrecommended way and done a fill test immediately, then that would be sort of an odd situation as well. That wouldn't be a great situation. In one way, that probably would have had a greater chance of finding the leak if I had done things improperly. In an odd way, that would have been better. But what I'm saying is, but when he did the installation, if in this scenario, if he had done the test, if he had put the faucet on, tested it, checked and confirmed, and then sealed as a final step, if that had been the procedure that he had followed, which as far as I understand is the standard way of doing it, you wouldn't want to seal and caulk up something and then check for an error, right? You would want to put it on.
Correct. Yeah, exactly. That's why.
And that's what I'm saying. Like
all day long.
That's a sensible procedure. And like I said, it's a question worth asking him. How did he test it?
I will ask him, but I have asked him multiple times. Max has asked him, and Esteban has asked him. Three of us have asked him on completely different days, completely different times, and his story is the exact same. I tested it when I was putting it on. I called Esteban. I asked him, should I test the shower head? Esteban said, no, the grout's still wet. Don't do it. So he didn't do it. And then he said he sealed it up because everything was working properly.
All right, I've got to interject on this because this guy is also the same. This guy did not do a single thing correctly during the whole process. Every single problem was caused by this one guy. He first hung the tile incorrectly, did not use spacers, did not level anything. So the tiles dried crooked. They had to pop the tiles off and put them back on using spacers and do it correctly. And then he used the wrong color grout. He used bright white grout when he should have been using dark gray or warm gray, 93 warm gray to be exact. They had two bags. They had both bags at their disposal. He had a 50-50 chance of getting it right and 100% chance that he would get it wrong because he wasn't that great. And then he messed up the faucets. So, I mean, this guy is just doing everything wrong, and they're pretending like he did everything right, as if he didn't mess up the tile, as if he didn't mess up the grout, and as if he just absolutely could not have messed up this faucet or spout. Sorry.
I mean, his story has never diverted. Not one detail has been different. I mean, this man's been doing. I mean, this is what he does for a living. You know, he's been doing tile and all this stuff for years, decades. He's an older man. I mean, it's like I've never. I mean,
a common practice of not using tile spacers.
No one that works for me uses tile spacers because a space is a space. I have people that use their fingernail. These guys are professionals. This is what they do all day long. Only DIY people who don't know what they're doing use spacers because spacers are there to give you a thing. You can use anything you want. A pencil. I have guys who use pencil erasers. It doesn't matter what space you use. You can put anything you want in there. I mean,
as long as
honestly,
it's straight,
when I said y'all need to use spacers, they all chuckled at me because they know. Go find any tile guy that does this for a living every day, all day. That's all he does is tile. None of them buy spacers. It's a waste of money. You can literally use anything you want to put in as a space. Like, only these DIY people use spacers because they don't know what they're doing. These tile guys can use their fingernail, their finger, and put the space there. It doesn't matter what you use. I mean, literally, when I said, can y'all please use spacers, they all chuckled. Because they're like, okay, whatever. Space. Do I what?
Would you accept?
No, I don't accept crooked choir. That's why they went and fixed it.
I just did things just to do them. Come on, I mean, what am I going to do? Just all of a sudden just jump up and grind my feet on somebody's couch like it's something to do? Come on, I got a little more sense than that. Yeah, I remember grinding my feet on Eddie's couch, you know? See, I never just did things just to do them. Come on, I mean, what am I going to do? Just all of a sudden just jump up and grind my feet on somebody's couch like it's something to do? Come on, I got a little more sense than that. Yeah, I remember grinding my feet on Eddie's couch. You know? Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
Pointed out to you other crooked tile and other crooked spaces Esteban pointed out to you, and you realized that. But that's why they went and fixed it. And Esteban told you he agreed with you, and some of them needed to be fixed, which is exactly why they fixed it, and you were happy with it. So that's a completely irrelevant statement. Of course we don't accept crooked tile. That's why it was fixed.
Well, I mean, in my issue.
Circles. So at this point, we're literally just going to tell you at this point, I will send you a written statement. I will send you a check in the mail for the drywall that you've removed. But at this point, that's all we're going to do. I mean, if you would have let us come in there on Monday or any day, even if it was 4 days, this was not an emergency leak. This was turn your bathtub off so we can get to you. No one expected this to happen. This was not on purpose action. It was whatever happened, we'll never know because we were never allowed the opportunity to come in there to fix it, to see what happened, to do anything. You had a completely separate man come in there and tell us what happened. Well, that's not how this works. If we did the work, then you have us come fix it. You have us deal with it. You don't call another person to come in without even giving us the opportunity to come in. I let you know that we were all out of town. I told you that. And I told you that I would let Esteban know. And then Sunday night you said you already had it fixed. I mean, there was zero opportunity for us to get over there, especially because this was not an emergency. I wasn't going to call Esteban away from Missouri City to drive all the way over here to mess with us. It could have waited until Monday. But when you said it already was fixed, then Esteban was like, okay, fine, I'll come see his water, whatever he says is going on as soon as he gets a chance. I mean, the timeline of events here, it's like you freaked out and rushed to, do whatever you needed to do, but you didn't even give us the opportunity. And then you want us to take some man's word for it who, it's just crazy. That's not how business works in this kind of field. You let us do what we do and you let us come back and fix it. So, we'll pay for the drywall that you've already removed to be fixed, but that's all we're going to do at this point.
I'll give you my thoughts. It's probably the best way to proceed, and this is just my thoughts on the opinion, my thoughts on the matter, in my opinion. The way that I think would be best is for you guys to just use a different set of contractors, either put it on y'all's business insurance or pay them, and have them fix everything that's wrong. There's water underneath the wood floor. I showed that to Max.
There's no way that much water got underneath your wood floor if you immediately saw it and turned it off like you told me.
I have a sensor.
Your kids probably still drink all the time. We have sensors too, sir. And I'm sure your kids still drink. If you have a dog, I'm sure water gets on it. Your floor is sealed.
I'm going to tell you that
that tells me you let this water run. So you're going to tell me you let this water just drip onto your floor without looking at it or drying it up for hours, 8+ hours? It sat on your floor for over 8 hours.
Got underneath the wood.
No, it did not. There's no way. There's no way it would have done that unless you let it run for 8 hours directly into the crack. This is what we do for a living. Okay? We've done classes after Hurricane Harvey, tons of mold classes. Unless you let that water sit there for 8 hours, there's no way it penetrated underneath your floor to have anything wrong with it. They looked at it. Max inspected it today. There was nothing there to say that there was water underneath there.
Yeah, no, I showed him buckling.
For 8 hours.
I showed him where the wood was buckling. He said, I don't see any buckling.
Zero buckling.
And I showed him
exactly. He didn't see it. We don't know if that was there before. We don't know what you had in your house before, sir. We don't have a clue what issues. This could all be stemming from your first bathtub leak. We have no idea. We have no proof that any of this was done because of a leak that you're saying was caused by an incorrect spout, but we still have zero proof of that because we weren't allowed to fix it. You told us initially the whole reason you were replacing your bathtub is because there was a leak that you were unaware of for some time.
So just to clarify here on something, because I spoke with my plumber and the Texas State Board of Plumbing Examiners, even if there's pre-existing water damage or mold or anything like that, say there's pre-existing mold, their leak ran over that mold, so they're still liable for if that mold grows and expands. They can't just be like, well, that's from a previous repair that you knew about. Yes, we knew about it, and I told you about it, so you were also aware of it, which means you should have also been additionally and abundantly cautious, or just said, no, we're not dealing with that, right? So what she's trying to do is avoid responsibility for that.
All of this could be from that, and you're trying to get us to do it. I don't have a clue what you had in your house before this. So I cannot take your word that this tiny leak, this was not a leak that ran for hours. You said you filled your bathtub up and then turned it off. That is not going to cause your floor downstairs to buckle. 8 hours of constant water penetration will cause wood flooring to buckle, not a leak that you turned on and turned off. I don't have a clue what your previous bathtub leak caused. I don't know what damage it caused. It literally could have caused all this damage, and you're trying to pin it on our company. I have no clue because we didn't inspect your house because we didn't think this was going to happen. So at this point, I will send you a check in the mail tomorrow I'm going to have Max write up an estimate because he has all the pictures and measurements, and I'll send you a check in the mail. But that's all I'm going to do at this point. I'm not going to even go any further with this conversation because you telling me that there's buckling of a floor from a 5-minute leak is bizarre. You literally could have had all this water damage from your previous leak. I have no idea if you had contractors in there fixing your previous leak. I have no clue who was there before. I don't know who did any of that. But you must have had water damage if you thought you needed to replace your tub. So I'm not going to take the blame My guys aren't going to take the blame for your previous water damage because at this point, that's the only thing I can write this up to be.
I can tell you the water damage from the previous leak was very slight because the only damage it was around the drain. There were hairline cracks where whenever we first moved in, whoever had installed the tub had either used a power tool or
Yeah, but
installed
how
that.
long ago did it leak for?
I'm describing the previous water damage to you, and I've got the documentation from when this was diagnosed and everything.
Did you have everything fixed? Was everything fixed?
So the only
was the water damage from the previous tub fixed before us coming in? Was any of that fixed?
Well, we stopped using the tub. So
no. Was any of the water damage from the previous leak fixed? That tells me no. None of that water damage has been fixed previously. So at this point, I'm going to end our conversation because that tells me right there that there was previous water damage. It doesn't matter how leak. You know, we had a house in Memorial Parkway. A lady had a pin needle leak behind her wall. It leaked probably for 4 years. After 4 years, her entire bathroom was covered in black mold, and she had no idea because the pin leak was so small. So that tells me that you could have had this water damage for years and years, however long you've lived there, and it has not been fixed since the last one. And now you're trying to tell us that we had all this water damage from a leak that only ran for the time period of you filling up a bathtub, which is what, 10 minutes? Less than 10 minutes if you immediately saw it on your camera? It doesn't add up at all. I mean, we've been doing this. We've gone through tons of water remediation things. None of this story adds up to what you're telling me for a bathtub leak that ran only for the amount of time your bathtub was filling up. So at this point, I'm just going to hang up, and I will send you a check in the mail. And I'm sorry this is how this happened, but I don't know what else to tell you.
I'll try and tell you what I've been trying to say is, you know, I would like separate contractors, not Esteban, to come out and just give a second opinion.
Max is not going to send. I mean, I can ask Max if he's willing to do that. Max is not going to send. I mean, I can ask Max if he's willing to do that.
Did you catch how quickly she changed tack on that? Because first of all, she was putting words in Max's mouth. Second of all, when you're having a conversation and you're trying to guide the conversation towards one and only one outcome, they don't want somebody else coming in to look at it and exposing themselves to the chance of liability and another contractor saying, oh, yeah, they're definitely responsible. See, they're trying to avoid responsibility at all costs. So they don't want anybody else looking at it. That's why they're mad that I had a plumber look at it. That's why they don't want anybody else looking at it. They just want me to shut up and take the check, right? So, but then she realized that how that would sound, right? If she's not even open to, not even open, right? 'Cause they don't want to present like that. So she changes tack really quick there to try and cover up their intentions.
Max is not going to send. I mean, I can ask Max if he's willing to do that, but I don't know if he is. But I will ask him tomorrow morning.
So that way
he's in class every day till noon, so he probably won't get back to me until after lunch. But I will ask him that question before we send a payment. I will ask him that. And I will text you tomorrow afternoon after lunchtime because he usually doesn't get to me until 12:30 because he's in class all week this week.
Right. The other thing is,
but I will ask him
that there's no contract, so I don't know these protocols or any of that stuff. I had a leak. I contacted you, didn't hear from you, so I had the following morning. So, I mean, that was my choice.
Well, because you contacted me after hours. Correct. You contacted me after hours.
I understand that. I also contacted Dorian.
We normally work 8:30 to 5:30. Those are our hours, 8:30 to 5:30, unless
yes. Well, I'm not arguing that. But may I please finish? Okay, because I need to be able to speak full, complete sentences coherently, and then you can respond, please. So, I mean, I contacted you after hours, and I also contacted Dorian after hours. He responded, and you did not respond for 23 hours. May I please finish? He responded.
No, you're not. I'm not going to do this with you. You contacted me after hours. You did not say this was an emergency. You said that there's water damage. You contacted I've heard you over and over. You've repeated yourself through text messages and on the phone. You contacted a completely separate plumber that has nothing to do with me on a weekend when you did not tell me that it was emergency. You contacted me after hours. We work 8:30 to 5:30. Even if it was an emergency, you should have called me. You had Esteban's number. You could have called Esteban. I have an emergency leak. You never did that. You texted me Friday evening. I texted you the next day, less than 24 hours later, because you texted me at 6:47 and I texted you back at 6:27. Because you texted me at 6:47 and I texted you back at 6:27 because I was in the middle of nowhere and had zero service. So when I got to town, I got all your messages and I called you, or I text messaged you and let you know I was out of town and I was gonna let Esteban know. So come Monday, Esteban was gonna be there. But then you text messaged me late at 8 o'clock on Sunday night saying you already got it fixed. So you didn't even give me enough time to get back in town. This was not an emergency fix. You should have just turned your tub off and waited until Monday. But you jumped the gun and called somebody who has nothing to do with, I don't even know who this man is, to come behind my work and our guys' work. I mean, I can't put any warranty. I can't put any hands on. I can't do anything with what happened because I have zero proof as to what happened. Zero.
You said all that, but I would like to be able to tell you what happened over here and fill you in, because if you say you have no idea about what happened or anything like that, and I'm trying to tell you, if you'll let me, and please don't interrupt me, and I'm telling you everything that happened between Friday night and Monday.
Right.
So, just like I said, on Friday night, I contacted you after hours, and I also contacted Dorian after hours, because in my world, it usually makes sense when something, and this was before everything was diagnosed. All I knew at that time was there's a massive amount of water, and it's like I told Max in the beginning. My initial assumption was that it was actually related to the jets because it's a jacuzzi tub. And so when I first saw how profound the flooding was in the wall, my initial reaction was, this has to be caused by the jets, right? So I contacted Dorian. I said, I think we've got an issue with the tub. I think it's related to the jets. And I sent him the same pictures that I sent you. And he responded right away. And we got on FaceTime. I sent him some videos and some pictures from the wet wall. All that water appears to have come from the wet wall, not from the tub. And he said, do you see any signs of water dripping or anything like that? And I said, I see where it's wet. I see where it's still dripping. And he says, that tells me it's some of the plumbing. And I said, well, let me go turn the faucet on real quick and run back around and see where the leak is coming from. Maybe I can find it that way. And so that was one of the videos I sent you. Go and I turn on the water and I run around to the wet wall and I see just pouring out. So I ran back around and shut it off. And so I never heard back from you guys. So with me having Dorian on the line, it's a faucet. Putting the different faucet on, as has been said many times throughout this, is not a difficult job. It's not profound. It's not like cutting up a plumbing line and running lines across the house or anything like that. It's a faucet. So I said, I'd like for you to just come out in the morning and have a look and see what you think, and then I'll follow up with the remodelers whenever I hear from them. He said, okay. So, he came out, we pulled the faucet off, we found where it was improperly installed. And, say what you will about testing or all of that. If it was properly installed, it would not have leaked majorly. That's your evidence of an improper installation. So the fact it was leaking like that, that's clearly a sign that it was not installed. Say what you will about having another plumber come out and everything else like that. The installation is what matters, the initial installation. The fact that it was leaking shows it's improper installation, and Dorian fixed it and it no longer leaks. And so that's verifiable proof that his diagnosis was correct. So
Yeah, but I don't have a clue. You can tell me all day long the sky is blue, and I say, no, it's red. If I don't have proof, I mean, because my guy's eyes,
You need
who put
proof
it on,
of proper.
reflected it. No, my guys should have been the ones doing all of this. You should have never called another plumber to come behind our work.
Well,
Bottom line.
What
in our
proof?
contract, we literally say that. You
What
are
proof
not
of
allowed to
status
call
was?
another contractor if there's an issue.
Well,
My guys being there, taking it off and seeing it and doing it themselves to say, oh, yeah, this was our fault. Because every single thing that my guys say, they don't have an incorrect install. So we have no clue why that happened. We have no clue. Because we were not allowed
well, but I also
the
have
ability to go and look at it for ourselves.
Yeah, and
the opinion of somebody who comes up with lies about state procedures just to scare people. That's all he was doing. I don't believe this. I'm not going to go round and round in circles about that.
Section 1301.052.
You don't have to read that to me.
It's 1301.052.
The actual Texas codes are not under Section 13. The Texas plumber codes are like 35 point something, 34 point something, or 300 and something. It's not 1301. And like I said, tomorrow I'm going to give you Debbie White's phone number, and you can call her directly and leave her a message, because she won't answer the phone. You have to leave her a message. She'll call you back, and you can talk to her, and she will tell you, along with any other plumbing company, you do not have to have a plumbing license to put on a spout, a valve, a toilet, or faucet. You do not.
I'm not asserting true or false. I'm telling you that I did find in Section 1301.052 where it says that you can't do plumbing related to remodeling. So
we're not remodeling. We were doing a repair for you. This was not a remodel. We took off one section of tile for you because you needed a repair. This was not remodel. Remodel is completely redoing the section, completely changing the way a room looks, completely removing every single piece of something and putting in new. We did not do that. We repaired and replaced every single thing.
The section also applies.
This is not a remodel. This is a repair of your tile, of your shower.
So it also applies to repair.
That's bottom line. I know what I'm talking about, sir. I do this for a living. That was not a remodel. That was a repair, a tile installation repair for you putting in the bathtub, which you still have not even said that you fixed the water damage from the previous bathtub. So that's why I'm still not even going any further with this conversation on all of your water damage.
I'm trying to tell you what I'm reading.
You've cut out. I don't care what you're reading at this point. I'm going to hang up now because it's already 7 o'clock and it's been 40 minutes. I will ask Max tomorrow afternoon when he gets out of his class about if he wants to send another contractor over there to do an estimate or whatever. And if not, I will let you know either way what he says. If he wants to send someone else or if we just send you a check, I will let you know. But I will message you or call you tomorrow, probably somewhere between 12 p.m. and 1 p.m. tomorrow. I will let you know. And tomorrow morning, when I get to the office, I will text you that woman's number.
What did you say her name was?
Her name is Debbie White.
Debbie White, and who is she with?
Texas State Board of Plumbers. She's in the enforcement division.
Okay.
And I'll text you her direct line tomorrow morning.
Okay. I mean, if Dorian's wrong, he's wrong. That's fine with me. I'm just telling you what I'm just telling you what I'm reading.
Plumber that works, it's 100%. You're not reading even the right codes because Texas State Board plumber codes, or it's like 356 or 340 or 35 points. There is no 13. It's in the 300. That's where if you go through plumbers, the Texas State Board of Plumbers website, it's in the 300, not in the ones.
Okay, so 365.2 then.
But it doesn't matter. It's so relevant.
Okay, well, I have it up. It's 365.2.
This wasn't a remodel. You're trying to say this was a remodel, and it was not. It was a repair.
No, okay, well, it also applies to repair. It says repair.
Have a great night, and I will talk with you.
Okay, so why put myself through all of that? Why subject myself to over 40 minutes of just a cat and a meat grinder, right? And it's simple. So when you're dealing with somebody that you know is going to be like a cluster B, conflict seeker, narcissist, or borderline style arguer, if I had come out in the very beginning with the laws and said that these are the laws, you're not licensed, and fix it, motherfucker. Number one, you heard everything she was saying about how we threatened them and how they were the victims and all of that, trying to paint us as the bad people. You'll notice that throughout the whole conversation. Either they're an authority or they're a victim, right? So there's no middle ground, and there's never, all she does is talk. You notice she never really asks any questions except for the possibility that maybe there was pre-existing water damage, right? Those are the only questions she asked was to the end of absolving herself of responsibility, and that was it. So there was never any kind of real effort to understand. But they kept saying that, it's like, we have no idea. We don't know what happened. We don't know. Well, bitch, I'm on the phone. I can tell you. That's how you learn. Ask some questions. And of course, she doesn't. Now, I had the laws in front of me because I'm not stupid. And I had both sets of laws. And I had previous discussions with my attorney and also the Texas State Board of Plumbing Examiners. So, I had all the information that I needed to know that she was at fault. And I did all that ahead of time. But at this point, all I need to do is give her the opportunity and, see how it goes and just calmly shoot down every little stray conspiracy or every little tactic. And part of that is you can wear them down some. You can expend their energy a little bit. And you heard how towards the end, I almost got a full minute of her just being quiet and listening as I was telling her about Dorian. And once she heard when I said I initially thought that it was the jets on the jacuzzi, she got real quiet and she was listening because she thought maybe I've got something here. Maybe I can point the finger, right? So of course she shut up and she was listening like a hawk. And you can tell she has really good listening skills when it was something she wanted to listen to, but she didn't want to listen to anything at all about their work or their mistakes. And, I caught her making several contradictory statements. You can't do that if you just lead out with "you're wrong, motherfucker." You can't do that. If all you have is a 45-second phone conversation, then, they'll say something like, well, it was obvious from the beginning that blah, 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 they'll put it on you. So it's always best to just let them talk the fuck out of themselves. Just let them talk. If you've done your homework ahead of time, then you have nothing to worry about because the truth is still going to be the truth 30 seconds from now or 40 minutes from now. So you have all the time in the world because truth's on your side. So, there's no rush. There's no rush, no hurry. And it's like I said, she took 40 minutes of rope to hang herself with. Not a single bit of that was trying to listen to me or my concerns or to try to make things right or to come to any kind of amicable anything. For somebody who claimed to have been doing this for years and how they have all these expertise, and some of their plumbers have 47 years of experience, and yet all they do is constantly appeal to ignorance. That is such a contradiction. It's nauseating. It's overwhelming. And not including many of the other contradictions there. And you'll notice how when I'm sitting there, like even just trying to read the law, all she does is just constantly interrupting because she doesn't even want me speaking the law. And I have no idea if she's... In the beginning when I said that I had the conversations recorded, I know for a fact she already knows Texas law on recordings because she never once tried to say anything like recording's illegal or you didn't have our consent or permission. She never said anything like that. Texas is a one-party state. As long as you are part of the conversation, you don't have to tell anybody else. You have the right to record your own life in Texas. You don't need somebody else's permission to record your own life. Now, what I could not do is I would not be allowed to, say, set a voice recorder down in the room and leave the room. I can't do that. But there's also... there's also certain exemptions, like if you have a security system in your house and you have surveillance cameras, all you need is a little sign on your door that says, "Smile, you're on camera." And that's it. They have no reasonable expectation of privacy on your property. So, I've got that. They rang the Ring doorbell. There's your clue. So, but she never once tried to get into anything on that. And I imagine she probably had a sense that that our conversation was being recorded, but I don't know for sure. But I do know that at the end, once I had specific laws and I started trying to read the numbers off the law, notice whenever I said, okay, well, I've got section 365.2, she immediately went to hanging up before we could even have that conversation. So that tells me everything I need to know. I already knew everything I needed to know because I talked to the Texas State Board and they said unequivocally that what they did is illegal and they can fine them if I file a formal complaint. And that's what I'm going to do. And I'm working on the process right now. We just went through a hard winter storm and the internet is still spotty and blah, 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 whatnot. Anyways, hope you enjoyed it. I know it's like nails going down a chalkboard, but I put a lot of time into this, doing all the subtitles and trying to deconstruct all of the fallacies and all of the various tactics. And at the end, I just sort of let it go because I had done so many subtitles and it was clear she was just using the same tactics over and over. You'll find that with cluster B people. They only have like a handful of favorite tactics, like the ones that just work the best, the ones that they can sell the best, and they'll just rely on those. Even though there's 12 manipulation tactics and some 230 fallacies, they'll really only use maybe half a dozen. And that's usually always the case. So once you identify those few tactics, then you're pretty good. You'll be good. So anyways, thank you very much. If you made it this far, congratulations to you. You deserve a Purple Heart. Please sound off in the comments. Do please like, comment, or share. Let me know that this was worth your time, and I'll see you on the next video.